Ahoy there, it's Skyward Shield. I have just woken up, and it is week 16 now. Week 15 is in the books. I'm joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey, what's going on?
And as I thought, teams that won their games have now clinched the division except but one. The Packers.
Right.
The Packers. People expect the Packers to take care of business, but I swear, I think we made it like a hero pick where everybody doubted the Buffalo Bills and Jim Schwartz. But even you had to cast your hatred towards him aside and put your faith in him one last time.
One last time, and my it does my heart good that even though he got carried off the field in Detroit like a loser, as long as he beats the Green Bay Packers for me, I'll be willing to forgive him his sins.
Phil, please. Did you actually see the... I retweeted something from the Detroit Twitter. Made a Vine about all the, all the wings and stuff. It's like, thank you at Buffalo Bills for delivering a win and some wings this week. So are the wings for really thanks that that you hosted them when that snowstorm went through? That's what it feels like.
I have no idea.
I didn't
But
send them
hey,
because they beat Green Bay, but hey, Bill, Mario Williams, I believe he was a former Houston Texan, knocked that ball off, and I felt the safety coming, and I was right. The rules for safety in the 2-minute warning are kind of complicated. It had to be Philip Rivers, Aaron Rodgers to grab that thing.
Yep.
Anybody else, it's dead.
It's due to a old play way back in like the 60s or 70s where a player fumbled the football and someone else recovered it and ran it in for a touchdown. And everyone else gave up on the play. And there was confusion, and they basically enacted as someone else on the offense picked it up and ran it in after everyone else had stopped running, thinking that the ball was down, and then they ran it in for a touchdown. That's what I think happened, and they made a rule against that.
I feel really bad for that team. I feel really bad for the team that thought they won that with that touchdown.
I mean, it's a, or it might have been a fourth down and they fumbled it forward or something, and they fumbled it forward and the recovering team got it past the first down marker and recovered it, and they got a fresh set of downs. Something like that.
Weird.
I don't remember offhand what it was.
Oh, it's all right, but I mean, I'm glad the Bills did that. But enough of the Bills, because for now,
Because we have other
we got to move on.
to
Plus,
talk
we'll
about.
probably mention them again after we're done. Anyway, so this week, one of the teams clinched their division, and that was Indy. Indy held off the Houston Texans only to 10 points. Ryan Fitzpatrick broke his leg because the ugly, big, and yet somewhat useless Indy defensive ends landed on him. I could even tell he hurt himself when that guy landed on. It's like, oh no, that's like getting like Fletcher Cox or one of those 300-pound Eagles players landing on you.
Yeah, it was not a pretty injury. It was not a good thing to watch.
Tom Savage
saw-
got hurt too.
Yeah, that was later on in the game. That was not a pretty one either. Savage, and really, it's been a shame for the Houston Texans. They have two young quarterbacks that they think they can put in and see what they are made of in both Ryan Mallett and Tom Savage, and both got injured. I mean, I really feel for the Houston Texans. I mean, if I was Bill O'Brien, it was like this year was cursed for your quarterback.
I think
You're
everybody
under-
had cursed. How do you think Arizona feels?
Arizona's right up there in terms of feeling cursed. I mean, Stanton's out for
Month.
for a month now. and now they have to go with Lindley at quarterback and try to make the playoffs and hopefully get a first round bye. And that's easier said than done.
You gotta fend
Easier.
off. You gotta fend off. Who was it? The Seahawks this week.
See, they get Seattle and then San Fran, and San Fran is going to be in a right angry mood the last 2 weeks. I would not want to be the teams that play them. But
Well, I'm confident San Diego can win the Battle of California. Plus, I want San Fran to be the bottom of the barrel. But that's just my hatred of them.
yeah, but back to the Houston-Indy game. Really, the story of that game was suffocating defense for both teams.
Because they knew it was at stake in Houston's defense. I think Houston's defense played well enough. The only difference was the offense couldn't get going. I'm surprised they were able to stuff Arian Foster. I don't like where this is going. I think teams have remembered how to block running backs, and I don't want that to happen now.
Correct. I mean, overall, I feel like that game was like an old school 1995 game. It just felt defensive. There was very few
When you think about it,
touchdowns. I mean, overall, the game was well played. I felt like Indy got the benefit of the doubt in a few calls. And I felt like Houston was in that game the entire way. They
were down by
one-
7.
Yeah, they were one break away from tying that game up, and everything just bounced wrong for that team. You know what I mean?
Yep, I can already tell you. This is where I started to feel where Andre Johnson would come in handy. But really, I'm surprised the offensive line just crumbled when Savage, because they were just blitzing the poor kid. Now he's hurt. So something interesting happened. I think right after the game, Case Keenum is now possibly going to start, or Kendrick Lewis. They'll see. But they're going to decide upon that probably around Friday. Or just later this week. But Case Keenum's got another shot.
I feel like Case Keenum kind of got the worst end of that stick. He's the fourth string quarterback. All he did last year was come into a very difficult situation, taking over for Schaub. And
Well,
all
good
he
Schaub.
did was,
Go on.
I mean, all he did was chuck the football down the field. He has a cannon of an arm. I feel like he kind of got screwed over.
Well, because they were losses. They weren't wins either. If any of them were wins, maybe he would have been a second string. But
still, I mean, overall, you can't blame everything on just the quarterback.
nobody's blaming the quarterback either, because the Colts defense played well when it came to pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, overall, this week's loss was a whole team loss. They just didn't do enough on offense. They didn't do enough on defense, even though the defense played well. They couldn't hold up to keep that offense in the game.
And before I see Colts fans starting to praise the Colts for blowing out the Texans, it was close. This is like saying the Packers blew out the Patriots. The Patriots were always in it, and they were one big play away from making it even.
Yeah, if anyone's saying that's a blowout, no, that was nowhere near a
Plus,
blowout.
if you can contain the number one offense to under 3 touchdowns, you did good.
Typically, in Andrew Luck's career, if he scores less than 14 points, they lose.
Yeah, I think if they score less than 3 touchdowns, to me they lose.
Yeah, that's normal offense. Any normal offense, less than 21 points, typically you're going to lose.
Unless it's a defensive slugfest like the Detroit and the Rams games.
Oh my God, the defensive beatdowns this week, though. Holy crap. And that's just one example of a defensive
Well, we went earlier
beatdown.
with Buffalo making Rodgers uncomfortable. Now he's exposed. I hope Detroit was watching. Well, clearly they were if they put tweets about fucking chicken wings. But
Exactly.
I
Next up,
I don't have anything else to really note. I just have I there are people on like the NFL saying J.J. Watt should start. Bill, just let it sink in. He throws for a touchdown and runs one. He can run one in. Wouldn't that
yep.
be hilarious?
Just think of it this way. He throws a touchdown. He can catch touchdowns. He could do it all for this team. That's what's scary about him.
I'm waiting for him to rush a touchdown.
I'm waiting for them to put him in at quarterback at this rate. Good Lord. I mean, seriously? He probably has a cannon of an arm. If you really look at how he's built, he looks like he could chuck the football around.
Yeah, but he likes to go after quarterbacks of the other team, which is good, just as good. But anyway, so it's either Case Keenum or Kendrick Lewis starting. We don't know. We probably won't know till and after this video is up. But whatever. Either way,
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm expecting Case Keenum only because he has more experience with the Houston Texans. Maybe.
And plus, he's got a few NFL starts under his belt.
Yeah, well, that's probably what's going to happen, but who knows? Could be wrong. So anyway, let's move on to another team that clinched a division, the New England Patriots, which looked like a close game with the Dolphins for the first half, and then Tom Brady woke up and absolutely annihilated the Miami Dolphins in a 41-13 smackdown.
And the important to note, it was 14-13 going into halftime.
Exactly. Rob Gronkowski and Brady exploded.
And the thing about the New England Patriots, and you see it with the New England Patriots, and you'll see it with another team that I'm going to mention next, is that they are making adjustments at halftime, and they are exploiting weaknesses in the other team, and they are just pounding them. Their defense tightened, did the Patriots. They didn't allow the Dolphins to do anything in the second half. Zero. Tannehill was ineffective. The running game of Lamar Miller and Daniel Williams and all them, ineffective. They put a screeching halt to that offense. And then Tom Brady starts going crazy.
Well, it's like what I said last week. There's no hell and way New England's losing to the same team twice in a row. There's no way Bill Belichick's going to let that happen, and there's no way Tom Brady's going to let that happen.
I mean, Miami played a really good game in the first half. I felt like they were in it, and then the Patriots flipped that switch. And when they flip that switch, and they figure out how to stop you, and they figured out a way how to stop Miami, and then they looked at the defense of Miami, and they're like, you know what? Let's just start throwing the ball down the middle to Gronk. And it just worked for them.
It worked.
It worked splendidly. Oh my God.
I mean, all I know is I think I might go for Tom Brady if I get the first draft pick.
Oh man.
The guy doesn't look like he's gonna fade off anytime soon, which I hope not, because I want him to stay. He could play till he's 50, assuming he doesn't get hurt.
I think he'll probably give it up around 40, right around when his contract ends.
Yeah.
He's gonna give up.
He says he's gonna give up, but he thinks he's starting not to be as good.
Yeah, and I mean, with New England, they always have that next man up philosophy, but I feel like they need to draft a quarterback within this year or next year, and sort of put him in, sit him down and wait after Tom Brady. And the reason why is if you look at what they did with Favre and Rodgers. Favre was there for a couple of years, let Rodgers sit, and Rodgers picked up the offense. And look at Rodgers now.
Yep. People are saying he's better than Favre, which, I mean...
I should probably waited for that for later, but...
It's okay, Bill. People will keep saying it even if he lost. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, I didn't get to see this game because obviously I saw the Houston one, but I'm just assuming from the highlights is all. But I'm glad the Patriots clinched their division. They just need to take care of business against the Jets and then host the Bills and take out the Bills because they still can't afford to lose the one spot to Denver. Because if Denver gets all home field advantage, that is not good. But the way they've been playing now, who knows? They might get it. It might take them out if they went to Denver, but you wouldn't want to risk that.
Yeah.
It's nice in Foxborough anyway. Plus, here's my gripe since we mentioned Denver. If they say Peyton sucks when it's cold, why is he even in Denver? It gets cold there all the time, right around here. I don't know.
Right.
Just a weird contradicting thought I reached the other day. Anyway, I don't have much to say about the Patriots because I just couldn't see this game. Do you have anything else you'd like to note? This is just them being them.
It was them being them. They really they dominated the second half, but really, if you really look at it, they sort of dominated from the second quarter on. They went off, and I feel like that's always been the recipe with the Patriots. They always make adjustments in the halftime locker room. You give Bill Belichick 10 minutes to figure out what they're doing, and it's going to be all over.
Yep. Anyway, shall I move on to the next game?
Hell yeah.
Alright. Detroit Lions hosted the Minnesota Vikings for their final home game. It was scary for Lions fans as Teddy Bridgewater put up a show for the first half at 14-0, but then it was all Lions from there, 17 unanswered points, as the Detroit Lions took care of business in their final home game, winning, I believe, 17-14.
It was actually 16.
Oh, 16.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yep, it was that one touchdown by my boy Golden Tate, who I have well on track, still on schedule for offensive MVP.
I mean, what he's done this year has been remarkable for the team. At points, he's been putting the Lions on his back, and they've been riding Golden Tate to victory. And
It's worked.
the thing about it is that the Lions, it's like the Lions put up like give the opposing team like 14 points, and then the defense is like, oh, time to wake up a little bit. Then they go, we're not giving you nothing, and then shut them down. If the defense would stop giving up points at the very beginning of the game, look at what they've done. Thanksgiving game, they gave up 14 points to the Bears. Went and dominated them. They give up 14 points to the Minnesota Vikings. From about halftime on, another team, like I said with New England, they made adjustments at halftime, and they came out and just dominated the Minnesota Vikings.
I will say, if J.J. Watt wasn't around, I'd have Glover Quinn up for a defensive MVP. 5 interceptions this year. And everybody's praising Richard Sherman. I'm like, what about Glover Quinn, though?
I mean, if you were to name some of the best corners and safeties, you would put the Legion of Boom, Glover Quinn, and Mr. Aheadabo in there. Because what Detroit's safeties and corners have been doing is comparable to the Legion of Boom.
You know what's ironic, though? I think last week, it was a Hedabo. He said him and Quinn are the best safeties in the league.
It really doesn't surprise me. You have to believe that you're a really good safety.
Don't let Richard Sherman hear it, or else he'll start to yell to Aaron Andrews from Fox about he's the best one in the game.
Yeah, poor Aaron Andrews. The look of fright on her face.
Well, yeah, he sounded like he was ready to throw her into the stands.
I still remember the photos after that game on Twitter, and they had the caption of under Aaron Andrews. The caption was like, "Get me out of here."
I think she did one out. Man, but oh well. So Glover Quinn got that pick, and I just want him to get a pick six. It's long overdue, really.
Teddy, I'll give the Minnesota Vikings credit though. Teddy Bridgewater came in and played a really good first quarter.
Yeah.
Very good first quarter. They just couldn't get anything else to go.
Yeah, and their defense was what was trying to hold off Detroit. And in some ways it worked.
I mean, if you really look at where the division's going, Detroit and Green Bay are scary teams for the next few years.
Yeah, and well, that makes it interesting.
Minnesota is on the rise, and Chicago's a complete mess.
Chicago, man, I thought that they would take care of business, but no, they got decimated. So I'm just gonna admit it. The Saints are a better road team, which they wish they could be on the road, but they can't. They have to be at home in the Superdome.
You know what? I'm still hoping for. I still want to see the division burn.
I want to see the AFC North burn.
But back to the Lions and Minnesota game. The only thing that I've noticed that the Lions need to work on is getting that offensive line to block for running.
Yeah, so how did Joique Bell do or Reggie Bush? Please tell me Bush didn't get hurt again.
I'm not sure. I don't even think Bush played, but Joique. Oh wait, Bush did play.
I heard his name mentioned that when I was watching the beginning of the game because I fell asleep through it because I was just so fucking tired. I was off 2 hours of sleep.
Oh jeez. But Joique had about 60 yards rushing, and it's not acceptable for a playoff-bound team. They need to work on it, and this is the perfect week to work on it upcoming, but we'll get to that later.
Yep, so Matt Prater did well. I've been saying he's just a little rusty because he's been out for a while, just being not benched, just being on the couch.
If you could give two people from the Lions an MVP trophy, you would give, three. You would give the defense an MVP trophy, you would give Golden Tate an MVP trophy, and you would give Matt Prater an MVP trophy, because he has been single-handedly saving the Lions from losing numerous times this year. Minus a few missed kicks at the very beginning of the season, he has settled down, he has made the kicking game much better, and he's a scary kicker to have in the playoffs. When you need to make field goals, he'll be there.
Yep, but one thing, like I've been saying, he was a Pro Bowler, I believe, and while he was with the Broncos, you don't have anything to worry about, just give it time. But I mean, I don't blame the Lions fans for being so worried because of they've had a consistent kicking crisis.
Oh my God! If I ever see another kick like I saw from Alex Henry or Nate Freese, those have got to be the worst field goal kicks I've ever seen in my life. I swear to God, those were the worst kicks I've ever seen.
I don't remember though, but oh well, whatever. I'm thinking Detroit will have a shot, but it's gonna come down to them winning against Chicago. They win that game, they should be in.
They will be in. They win, they're in. That is the scenario.
They win one more, and they're in. However, if the Eagles lose on Sunday, though, they're in anyway. Or not Sunday, Saturday. If they're in Saturday, if they lose Saturday to the Washington football team, which I hate to admit it, but I think I am kind of rooting for the Washington football team.
Really, the overall scenarios are these: if Seattle wins, they're in.
Yeah.
If Detroit wins, they're in. That means the loser of the NFC East, whoever does not make it from the NFC East, in first place. If it's Dallas or Philadelphia, if Dallas is second place, they're out. If it's Philadelphia in second place, they're out.
I want it to be Philly.
All it takes is 2 Detroit wins and one more Detroit win and one more Seattle win, because that's 11 wins. And think of it this way: if Dallas and Philadelphia, if Philadelphia were to win, they'd be 10-5. And if Dallas were to lose, they'd be 10-5.
They'd tie.
So the win the following week would be the ultimate. I feel like it's going to happen. It's going to be this weird thing where Dallas is going to be in a Week 17 must-win game yet again.
And they have to beat the Washington football team, which, if RG3 starts, I believe they can do it. It's RG3 and the Washington football team. But if the Eagles lose to the Giants, because they need help, they have to have the Giants beat the Eagles, which the way Odell Beckham's playing in Manning's just like, I'm going to throw it to this guy all the time, and they win.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, if the Giants beat the Eagles, which I think is possible, they can get in, but they have to win against the Washington football team. But I think they can beat the Colts because Andrew Luck's been playing bad. The way I think to beat them is that Andrew Luck is having slow starts. What you gotta do is when you get the ball, you fucking put up points yourself. Get ahead of him. Don't let him have a chance to come back. Just like basically with how Dallas did this week, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I've seen Dallas do that for a few games. I think they can do it now. They just have to start strong and just be consistent and just score.
Correct.
Forcing Andrew Luck to throw the ball, because sooner or later his throws will be predictable. Especially if you know he's going to go to T.Y. Hilton, because you get to that guy, quickest way to a score. Literally.
Right.
So I'm thinking this next week is really going to settle things, or solidify things even more so, which I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. You can only predict. Either way, Detroit got to win, a must win. They just need to beat Chicago, which I think it's not that hard considering they're under so much chaos. You just got to capitalize on that. They're just going to pull off all the stops, but if you predict it, if you predict what they're doing like a child trying to wail his arms at you, well then,
yep.
You got everything under control. Which,
oh man.
I intend that, I would like to know, I intend that analogy on Chicago, because that's how they feel right now. Well, not that I blame them, though. To be fair, not that I blame them, because I know that feeling. Houston had their chaotic year, and they won too, and lost everything else, but we don't speak of that. Or I don't, as a Houston fan, but whatever.
Oh, man.
Anyway, too long didn't read. If J.J. Watt wasn't around, I have Glover Quinn. Hell, Glover Quinn might be my defensive MVP anyway, because if I'm going to probably put J.J. Watt as my overall MVP this year.
I mean, I think that overall MVP is going to be someone from an offense.
Probably.
That's how it goes.
Again,
so
the only way is if Green Bay didn't make the playoff, which is unlikely because
no,
everybody's on Aaron Rodgers.
If it's NFC Defensive Player of the Year, I would be totally on board with Glover Quinn or someone from the Lions defense.
It's got to be one of them.
AFC Defensive Player of the Year is most definitely going to be J.J. Watt. And overall Defensive Player of the Year is going to be J.J. Watt, period.
Yep. Oh well. Anyway, so This takes us to Sunday Night Football. The Dallas Cowboys went on a 21-0 lead, then blew it, and then came back from it. If
Yep.
this is what I wanted to mention this with Detroit, these kind of games that both those teams were playing under their previous coaches, they would have lost. Well, Garrett too, I should add. Whatever. They would have lost these games, but both teams won. They found a way to win. Dallas blew a 21 lead with Philly putting 24 unanswered points, but then just got it back together and won the game anyway.
Yep.
Bill, I will say, Dallas haters, give Dallas some credit. Philly knew what they had to do, and it looked easy. Just it started with the Dan Bailey kick, the short kick. They thought that one of their players from behind them was going to grab it, and that was what undid them from the start.
I mean, really, that start of that football game set the tone for the football game.
And I like that start.
And that start, it just shows you that Philadelphia's special teams, which have been doing so well for most of the year, has not been playing well.
They've
the
been
last few
dormant
weeks.
for a while lately. After, I think, when was the last time the special teams did anything big? What, the Rams game?
Oh, maybe 4 weeks ago, something like that.
It feels like since early in the season that they did anything in the special team side that wasn't a
Now-
field goal.
Dallas capitalized on a lot of Philadelphia mistakes. The beginning of the game was a fumble, or whatever that was. I don't even know. No one touched the football, actually. You have to recover the football. I mean, it'd be like an onside kick.
Yeah,
like you
it's-
kick it way down there.
If it's a kick and it goes over 10 yards, anyone can grab it. It's just that you're so used to defend or the player on the other side grabbing it, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Like,
The other thing was a 3-and-out, the series of 3-and-outs that the Philadelphia Eagles were doing in that first quarter, and it really set the tone, and Dallas took advantage, and they stuffed the ball down their throats, and it opened up everything in the offense. It opened up everything. Des Bryant went off. DeMarco was going off. I mean, everybody was going off in that game. And it was all set up with them cramming the football down the Eagles' throats in the first two games. Or first quarter, I mean.
Bill,
They just-
I have a confession. You know
Yeah.
how you like seeing Rex Ryan cry and Rob Ryan be sad? I think I
Oh,
found my
God.
coach for that. That's Chip Kelly. His worried face. They showed it a few times. It just made me happy. I like seeing the great Chip Kelly, who people call like a master at coaching, just be worried that, oh shit, I'm not going to make it this season. That was the face of, holy shit, if I lose this game, I might not make it into the playoffs.
It's very possible. I feel this game had a lot of good stuff. It showed that Dallas can actually come back and win a game after they for all intents and purposes that game should have been over, but they let the Philadelphia Eagles back in, and that's one thing that the Dallas Cowboys have to be worried about, is that defense being on the field. They are susceptible, but thank God for Dallas's sake that they stuck with the run. No matter if DeMarco was banged up or not, they stuck with the run and they stuffed it down Philly's throat.
Des Bryant caught 2 touchdowns at the same formation in a row.
Exactly. I'll put it right there. Philadelphia's defense is right there with Dallas's defense in being as bad. No matter which of those two teams comes out, they better be looking out.
The only
because-
difference The only difference really is that the Eagles' defensive line has been around longer. It's more
But
veterans like Fletcher Cox, and they're heavy men you can't run through if they get a
just
hand on you.
just think, the number 6 seed is likely going to be Detroit or Green Bay. It could be Detroit against Dallas or Green Bay against Dallas, or Detroit against Philly or Green Bay against Philly. And two really high-powered offenses in Detroit and Green Bay. That would not be a recipe for success.
I would detect a shootout, which I'm cool with. You don't see. I mean, I like last year's playoff shootout, the Colts and the Chiefs game. That felt like a Super Bowl game, to be honest, over the damn Seahawks Broncos game.
That game started out really badly. That was just it. It was a function of that game starting out how it did. It settled the Seahawks down. But overall, this Dallas Philly game, though, I felt like after Dallas got punched in the face, they settled down. They played their game plan. They still played their game plan, and they went back to winning that game. And that's how you win playoff football games. You gotta get punched in the face, and you gotta get right back up from it.
To be fair, I think Dallas was also considering going for deep throws, because before they started to rebound, I noticed that they were taking quite a few shots down the field after they ran the ball.
Yeah.
Because I think they knew we got to make a big play work.
Yeah, that was a very astute observation. I did see that too. I saw that.
I'm not surprised, because I knew they were going to take the few shots down the field, but I mean it worked. It paid off. Dez made big plays. Two that were literally the exact same way, like I mentioned earlier, because Philly's secondary will not wake up.
Philly's secondary's terrible.
It's been terrible,
I mean,
but you're so used to the offense doing everything.
Yeah, the offense. But the other thing is that Philadelphia's defense never gets any time to rest.
Yep, that's
You know,
what happens
don't-
if you do that. If you keep them out forever, they lose.
They're that high octane offense, and while it is good to score really fast and get the ball 40 times, eventually that defense needs to rest. They're not getting any rest, and they're getting worn out.
Yeah, I'm just thinking they have a lot to think of if they don't make the playoffs. Well, really either team, because I already thought Dallas has to think of a lot regardless because of that defense. They need a star defensive end that could fill in DeMarcus Ware's shoes, because his absent presence is really being felt.
Oh man! And speaking of that, was there anything of note that you saw in the game there?
In Dallas or in overall this week?
In the Dallas game?
Dan Bailey still being the best kicker I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's still one of the highest, most accurate kickers in NFL history.
Let's see, Jason Witten literally had an interview with him this past Friday. One of the nicknames they showed at him, and he likes this nickname, Third Down Witten.
Yeah, I mean, he's a walking first. If you imagine a walking, talking stick that moves, that's him. He just moves the sticks, man.
That's a podcast name I listen to, ironically.
Exactly. Move the sticks. Just call him Move the Sticks. That's what you should call Jason Witten.
Well, then the podcast guy might have to sue for copyright infringement, but whatever. Nah,
Or Witten's Third Down Mittens.
I'd take Third Down Witten. I like it too. It sounds good.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
one thing, this is after the game, Dez Bryant got interviewed. He sounded so quiet. I'm amazed he didn't sound loud, because before that game, he got in an argument with number 24 of the Eagles, the secondary guy that was watching him, because of those 2 touchdowns. They had to change their secondary formation because that guy was doing such a bad job.
yeah, I mean, You don't want to wake the sleeping giant. Then he wants to just destroy you.
And he did.
And
All the throwing touchdowns were scored by Dez. He threw up that
but
X.
did you notice how demure he was this week?
Demure.
He wasn't being demonstrative. He was just being nice, calm, Dez.
Bill, I think he listened to you.
And if he's calm, he gets touchdowns. If he's going crazy on the sideline, he's not getting touchdowns, and then he overplays to try to get touchdowns and catches. Just let it flow naturally. If it flows naturally, Cole Beasley gets some catches, Terrence Williams gets some catches. That means you get more one-on-one coverage, meaning you get more touchdown catches.
Yeah. What I was actually gonna say though is that I think it's because Dallas, like Garrett, probably told me, if you're gonna get interviewed now, you better stay fucking calm. I don't want you to put your foot in your mouth again.
I mean, this offseason's going to be very interesting.
There's no way Dez is gonna take a cheaper contract. He wants the expensive one, so it's like either him or Murray's gonna have to take one because Garrett is also getting a contract extension, which I don't think he cares if he gets paid. He could just live. He would live in the Dallas. He would live in Jerry's world, and he'd be cool with that.
Pretty sure the coach contracts don't count towards the salary cap.
Oh, they don't? Then okay, good. But I think still he probably wouldn't. He would probably just live in Jerry's world, and he'd be cool with that.
It would be idiotic if the coaches' salaries were.
That would suck.
It would be really stupid.
But you know what's the worst part? Knowing how the NFL's had a track record of stupidity, it can happen.
Well, they didn't handle a lot of things correctly. So
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
that, like in the 49ers game with the Seahawks, that bad roughing the passer call.
Like I said, referees are pretty terrible, but not as bad as those blind ass ones that were the replacement refs a couple years ago.
Yeah, that was, but we don't speak of that.
Oh man.
Final thing that I have to note. Romo naysayers better shut up already. Especially if they makes the playoffs. Like you saw how important he is to this team, about as important as Murray with that Arizona Cardinals game.
I mean, who would you rather have at quarterback? Tony Romo, who's made multiple Pro Bowls, or Brandon Weeden, who threw a football over his head sideways as a Cleveland Brown into the waiting arms of a 290-pound Detroit Lion?
I'm taking Romo.
You take Romo every day of the week, including the 8th fake day. You never, ever choose Brandon Weeden. That is the wrong answer. Period. End of story. Tony Romo is the quarterback for this team this year. Any other quarterback is irrelevant.
Yep. But I digress. I just hope people fucking shut up about Romo now, because I mean, yeah, he's made key mistakes, but I think with seeing that the offensive line is better, those chances of that happening are so low now.
The final thought is there's a reason the Cleveland Browns let him go as a quarterback.
They let all their
If he's
quarterbacks
not
go.
good- If he's not good enough for Cleveland, he's not good enough for anyone else.
There's a deeper meaning behind that I just realized. I'm thinking of the Cleveland of old, not the Cleveland of now, who's now tracked for 8-8 or 7-9.
Yeah, the 2-14 Clevelands I'm talking about.
Yep. Why do you think they got rid of McCoy? Though I still think McCoy can be good. He just needs a team that suits him best. But I mean, who builds a team for a backup quarterback? Well, Chip Kelly.
They don't have a real quarterback there either.
Yep. Anyway, we shall move on, but in a moment. Just give me a moment, Bill.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. I don't have anything else to say on Dallas. Just keep on fighting and keep on running the damn ball. So,
Yep.
in other news, though, we're not going to talk about Johnny Football, but I heard DeMarco Murray had to get surgery on his arm or on his finger today, hand
Correct.
surgery. But they say it's likely minor. He might be able to play against the Colts.
I mean, it all depends on which hand he carries the football in, and I think he's right-handed, so it might not be that much of a issue.
I think it was on his left hand anyway.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I can look and find out, but I'm gonna go with the it was the left hand.
I'm pretty sure he's right-handed.
No,
So
no, I'm saying his left hand got surgery.
yeah, yeah. No, well, that's what I'm saying. The hand that he carries the football in is his right
It's just gonna
hand.
be hard for him if he has to stiff arm a guy. He might not be able to.
I mean, they'll probably put a club on him.
Probably. But yeah, I mean, even still, I wouldn't let him take a chance. Like, don't you stiff arm a guy? Don't risk ruining your hand. You need
Right.
both hands to catch the ball too, you know.
Right.
Anyway, so this week's subject was draft picks, not players specifically. That's for later when we actually make an episode about the draft.
Team needs.
Yep, we're going to go based on team needs. We'll start in order of how this. So, oh, what about? We don't even need to talk about New England because New England's all good. They got it. So let's move.
Right.
Let's start with my team, Houston. What does Houston need? Houston. Everybody says quarterback, and I say good reason. But really, I want to say let's go with Mallett. Let's give him a year. Extend his contract by a year. See what he can do. The kid wants to play. The kid has enthusiasm, so much so that he will not admit that he got injured the week before.
Right.
So I'm thinking, who knows? Maybe this guy might have something because he's also got a cannon for an arm. Just needs to work on that accuracy. But
Yep.
I think that. But I mean, if they don't want to go with Mallett, but it's really hard to say, he might not be an ideal fit because
right.
he spread that ball around to everybody, to Johnson, Hopkins, the tight ends, which surprised me because when Fitzpatrick started in the year, and even Schaub and Keenum, they never threw to the tight ends. That's why Owen Daniels got cut, which is still a big mistake in my eyes. They shouldn't have cut him off.
That was a huge loss.
And they
team.
might feel the pain of it this week when they play the Ravens because he's with them as well as Kubiak, the last coach of Houston. But anyway, so another thing is I'm gonna go with center because Chris Myers, he's not bad. He's not bad at all. But he's gonna retire soon, probably next year or the year after. I give him 2-3 years, and he'll retire.
Correct.
So let's get a center now, and start giving him time to train, get better. So when Myers does retire, or if he gets injured, you never know. But he's had the most consecutive snaps this year, or starts for a center.
Yep.
Anyway, so he's a potential one that I'd like to see. Or I'd like to see him when he gets sent off. Whenever that happens, we'll already have a good center to replace him, one that won't overthrow the damn ball like some teams have experienced. Doesn't have to happen as often with Houston as you might think.
Right.
So, because that shows you how good the veteran is. But after that, I say a star secondary player. I mean, I like Kareem Jackson, but I think he's
Right.
getting out of it. I still say Jonathan Joseph because need I remind you, getting 2 picks in a row, one of them a pick six. I
Yeah.
think the guy's still got it in him. He's no Glover Quinn by any means, but I think he's good enough. I think it's just I hate to say it, but Kareem Jackson.
Yep.
So it's like we need a star secondary, someone that maybe not as good as Sherman if there's not one available, because I don't know what's going on in the secondary side of the draft.
Right.
So I think those are just an offensive lineman to replace Myers in the future, a star secondary player, or a quarterback. But the quarterback one is really questionable because Mallett, I think, can prove his worth. Just give him more time and hope he doesn't hurt himself.
Right.
Do you have anything? Do you have anybody different?
I I have their team needs as a wide receiver because I feel Andre Johnson will not be back with the team, and they're gonna need to replace his
You
presence,
know why
and
I
they're
think it
not.
won't happen though? You saw what happened with this game. They paid attention to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yep.
So if you
No,
give the what?
that's what I was gonna say. If you get a young star running wide receiver, you have two monsters, young monsters
Yeah,
in the prime. You know, Andre's a veteran, but he needs to lower his footprint on the salary cap. And I doubt he's gonna want to lower the footprint on the salary cap for the Texans.
maybe.
My next position is one to build more depth because of a certain guy that has been dealing with injury issues. I say they need to draft another running back to add to depth. Not saying to replace anyone, but to add to the depth at the position. Because really, it's Arian, then it's Alfred Blue, and then it's no one.
Actually, it's
I mean,
Grimes. Jonathan Grimes.
but if you have a good young running back over Jonathan Grimes, nothing against Jonathan Grimes, I would take the young running back.
Yeah, I can understand
And my third of the three team needs I have picked out is quarterback.
that. Again, I
Ryan
would say it's situational because they think they might give Mallet a year.
Fitzpatrick, not great. Ryan Mallett, he got hurt within the game. You don't know if he's going to be one of those injury bug concerned quarterbacks. You have Case Keenum, which I think is their best option at quarterback, personally.
I got Mallet actually, but I mean, who knows?
And, Mallett and Keenum threw for the most yards in college football history. So, he's not like some nothing quarterback coming out of college. He threw for the most yards in the history of college football. Uh,
Guy loves to throw.
and I just feel like if you want to upgrade the position, this might not be the year to do it, but it's still a thing to be. It'll say, we're looking at the quarterback play. Fitzpatrick's not really wowing us. Mallett, we don't know if he's gonna get injured anymore. Keenum's probably not going to be in town after this year, so it's good to build up depth. And Savage, who knows what's gonna happen with Savage?
Yeah, I don't know either. So let's move on to Detroit.
Detroit versus Minnesota. All right, now I have a center for the Detroit Lions. They need to draft a center in the first round. I do not care who it is. I don't care where, even if it's a guard. You move him to center and you cut Dominic Raiola. I want him gone. Any way possible. He's the last remaining remnant of that 0-16 god-awful team. Get rid of him. He's not good. He false starts way too often. He needs to go. So, a center. I have a defensive lineman that they need to address. And the reason is I don't think that they'll be able to re-sign Ndamukong Suh. And they're going to need someone to replace him. So they'll have to draft a defensive lineman. And then the last thing, and I know it's going to kind of surprise ya, I want them to draft a wide receiver. Now, I know what you're thinking. You got Golden Tate, you got Kyle Fuller, you got Calvin. You get a Julian Edelman, Wes Welker type. A body like that. You get someone that plays the game like that in the 4th or 5th round. You get someone that's highly motivated and wants to play that slot role away from Golden Tate. That way they can run cross routes, etc. it would put the defense in a massive quandary. Who are you gonna stop? Are you gonna stop Golden Tate running these cross routes? Or are you gonna stop this other guy running cross routes? I feel that they should get a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman style wide receiver.
Is that all you have?
That's my three.
I only have one actually, because I just have no clue. Because you might say the center, which I'm gonna go instead of just say an offensive lineman. I don't know where, but really I think it just Stafford needs better protection. If you think it's the center, then fine, I'll go with the center. But it's just anywhere.
The whole offensive line needs help, really.
Yep. So I'm thinking, yeah, draft an offensive lineman. Which, especially if Dallas makes the playoffs, every team is gonna be like, you know what? We need an offensive lineman. It's like they got an offensive line. That's like the newest trend. Like we got to get in on that. We need to get an offensive line too. Like that good guy.
Yep.
It's like so. It's literally like crowding in, rushing at a store, and drafting all the offensive linemen you can get. Well, good ones at least. So get a really good offensive lineman, and then the other thing, running back. I hate to say it, I just don't know if Bush is gonna stick around with him getting hurt so much. That it's people like him that set the stereotype that running backs are frail.
He's frail. He always has been frail.
I guess there's been a reason why the Saints cut him.
I mean, I wouldn't mind getting a running back. That was for me. It was really wide receiver and running back would be a big need as well. You know, if either was satiated and that was the only offensive pick, I'd be happy with it.
Yeah, because I think they really need one, especially in case Bush does get hurt. Then guess what? You got somebody to back up Joique Bell.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, really, it's just those two, an offensive lineman and a running back. Because I just get this feeling Sue might stay. Maybe, but I mean, that's just me clinging to. That's just me being hopeful. Anyway, finally, Dallas. I'll start with you, Bill, because I think I mean, you already know what I've been saying, so.
All right, so you're going to notice a trend with these. Okay, so my first area of need, defensive linemen. They have no pass rush. They cannot get to the quarterback, and it could get them beat. And they need to generate a pass rush. They need defensive linemen. They need to immediately draft a defensive lineman. Next up, their next need is that linebacker. They have Rolando McClain. They'll have Sean Lee back. They don't have another linebacker besides that. I mean, Church, maybe. But
Church is alright. But it wouldn't hurt to get another one.
Overall, if you're going to play that way, you need a linebacker. And, oh my god, the Cowboys secondary. Oh, they're giving up so many yards. They need to get a corner or a safety.
So basically, one player for each side of the defense.
I mean, theoretically, if they have 7 picks in this draft, they're going defense this entire draft. That defense needs to be reworked and infused with talent.
It's pretty much the same for me, though. Is that all you have?
That's all I have.
I have a defensive lineman. You need to fill in the spot of DeMarcus Ware fast, because you are gonna start to feel it even more. Feel more of the loss of DeMarcus Ware, which stupid move in my opinion. But I think they're gonna need a defensive lineman, something like I said, DeMarcus Ware-ish, because you're never gonna find someone like Watt anytime soon. It's like a once in a lifetime type of player. Kind of like where Odell Beckham is so far, but I don't know. I think maybe that's a little overhyped. So next after that is a linebacker, but for me a different reason, because I think they need someone in case Sean Lee hurts himself again, because he's like the Reggie Bush of linebackers.
And that's not saying a good thing
That is
because
not a good thing.
calling a linebacker frail is not a good thing.
I know. It's like, dude, you tore your ACL twice, I think. But next, I have a secondary as well. I think a lot of teams really need secondaries. But I think that's the only thing that they really need to worry about. Maybe something. What else was I thinking? Somebody who might return the ball better, because I think that I think it was Dwayne Harris. They used to be one of the best teams to run a football in for a touchdown or from a punt return, but
Yeah.
they haven't done that in a long time. The last time I remember that was, I believe, last year when they played the Washington football team at home. They ran one in
Yeah.
for a touchdown, which is, you guys need to get back to that too, because Philly has a good special teams unit whenever it's awake. So I think it will not kill you at all to have one of those. So I think they really need to consider a good runner to be a punt returner. It could be our running back, but you make him into a punt returner.
Oh man.
But that's all I have. So anyway, Bill, anything else to note of for this whole week?
Overall, this week was a weird week. It started out weird. It finished weird. Well, it finished out with a blowout, but
Yeah.
I mean,
To be honest,
overall,
finish what you're saying.
overall it was a really fun week to watch too.
Not for me. At least the beginning of the games. Oh well. Houston really needs to get fixed next year. Which, who knows? Who knows? But I think the other thing, I swear, we were the only ones that went with Buffalo. I really think the whole world picked that was outside of Buffalo, outside the state of New York. They all went for Green Bay. So I feel a little proud going with the few, the proud, the hero pickers. So we got,
The few, the proud, the Bills.
well, Bill, you are a Bill. You are a Bill.
Exactly. I am a Bill. Oh man.
So the other thing was, there's that bad call in the Seattle game, which I really think that I think the refs really need to get an evaluation. We're gonna show you some plays. We're gonna simulate some plays, and you're gonna tell us if that's worth a flag or not. If they fuck it up a lot, then they're out.
But they are also evaluated, and the team that makes the most correct calls does go to the Super Bowl, and they do get a monster bonus for going to the Super Bowl.
Yep, that's why I think some refs throw the flags on wrong plays, because they really want to be accurate, but they're not. Oh well, I digress. So I'm the last thing. Saints should be a wild card team if they know what's good for them, but sadly they can't. They have to host in the Superdome, which is not so super these days. At least Atlanta can win in their place most of the time. Well, it's a divisional rival and Cardinals.
If they seeded the teams, and there was 8 teams, and it was seeded, I feel like the Saints would be a 7 seed and playing the 2 seed.
I don't think they'd be a seed at all. Bill, let's just get rid of the whole NFC South. None of them deserve to be in there.
I mean, to be fair, really, if you think of the top 8 teams, if you go to an 8-team playoff, and that's something we'll be talking about over the off season, is
So they're still, they are talking about that. They're actually,
oh yeah,
wow. But no one gets a bye.
no buys. 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. Keep going.
Wow, 1 versus 8 though. That really sucks for the 8 team.
Yeah, you would just imagine it could be a Carolina Panthers team, and they would get absolutely.
I'd want 1-4, 2-5, 3. Oh no, wait, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of it wrong. Whatever.
But anyway, I mean, overall, this week proves a lot.
Yeah, and I'm just, if the Titans Jaguars give us a shit game, A bullshit game, then I think I already know how these games are going to end. Bullshit for, and that's not a good sign.
I don't want to hear that.
You hear that, Titans Jags? Give us a good game.
Give us a high-scoring, crazy point total game.
Exactly.
I don't even know.
They have nothing to lose. They have.
I literally don't know who I picked.
I already know who I picked. I mean I have them in the playoff predictors, so I just need to look at what's checked. So Bill, start us off with Thursday Night Football.
Thursday night is Titans at Jags.
I have the Jags. The Titans won the first game, so they're going to split it.
Oh yeah, I do remember who I picked. I have the Jags.
Blake Bortles is going to do pretty well today. No picks this time. No picks this week.
Blake Bortles will outplay Jake Locker.
No, Jake Locker's out. You didn't know?
Oh yeah, he got hurt.
It's time for Clipboard Jesus to take the field.
Oh yeah.
Not good. Bill, I told you last week. Thursday game set the tone. Injured quarterbacks, and so be it.
Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington Football Team on Saturday.
I have the Eagles winning, but I won't lie. I'll secretly be rooting for the Washington Football Team because one more loss and they're out.
Yep. I mean, overall, if the Eagles lose, it makes my life a lot happier.
Makes me too.
But I really think the Eagles are going to win, so I'm going to pick the Washington Football Team.
Seriously? You're going upset of the week?
I'm going upset of the week. I really want the Eagles to lose, and then the Lions are it.
I agree. I want that to happen, but I just don't see it happening with the Washington Football Team. Maybe next week with the Giants hosting the Eagles, but not this week.
I want the Lions to make the playoffs so badly. I don't care what happens anymore.
All right, Bill. I'm hoping you get your what I'm gonna say is a hero pick because I'm pretty sure everyone else picked Philly.
Next up, San Diego at San Fran on the 8 o'clock game on Saturday.
I have the Chargers winning the Battle of California, emerging as the superior team, barely. And the 49ers are going to be the worst team in California. Losing, because remember, they lost to the Oakland Raiders.
And I feel that the chaos will continue in San Fran, and San Diego will defeat the 49ers.
Good to me.
Now, the Sunday games. Minnesota at Miami.
Miami. It's clear as day. Defensive slugfest, but Ryan Tannehill's going to run in all the touchdowns. He's got to do it himself these days.
Miami easy. The Vikings are still building, and I feel like they're not kind of pack it in these last 2 weeks.
All right, next game.
Next up, the Baltimore Ravens at the Houston Texans.
I'm going to go with like this. If Case Keenum gets in, there's a chance they can win. But if it's Kendrick Lewis, I have the Ravens winning. And even so, I still think the Ravens are going to win.
I've got the Ravens winning. It's just the Ravens' defense. I mean, I feel they're not play really well. The Texans'
it might be
will keep them in.
I think it'll be a defensive slugfest.
Yep.
It might come down to a final field goal kick.
Now, the Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears.
Detroit, clear as day. Chicago sucks at home anyway. So,
Detroit.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, though. My boy Golden Tate's not going to do as much. It's going to go to the tight ends. It's going to be the tight ends game. That's what it feels like to me.
Nice. Yeah. Next up, Cleveland Browns at Carolina Panthers.
Carolina wins in overtime.
Carolina wins easily because Johnny Manziel will be thrown to the Wolves yet again. Poor Manziel.
Yeah, poor guy.
Next up, the Atlanta Falcons at New Orleans Saints.
This was what we might consider an upset of the week. Atlanta going into the Saints' place, manhandling them. and they secure the division.
I have Atlanta defeating the Saints, and I want to watch this division burn.
How do you think? Again, how do you think I feel? I want Houston to win just to spread further chaos in AFC North.
Okay, here we go. Green Bay Packers at Tampa Bay.
Green Bay. There's no way they're gonna lose 2 in a row, but I hope not. I hope that they somehow find a way to do so. Because if they lose to Tampa Bay and Detroit wins their game, Detroit secures the division.
Buccaneers accidentally fire the cannon, scare Aaron Rodgers. He passes out, is taken to a local hospital where they refuse to let him out of the hospital for fear that he'll get back onto the field. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers win the game, giving the Detroit Lions the division.
Oh man, Bill, I'm hoping that's how it's gonna work. Bill, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't risk jinxing it.
I want them to lose.
I know you do, but it's just unlikely to lose 2 in a row right now.
To a 2-12 team too. Just think about that for a second.
Well, they defeated. Remember, the Bucks beat the Steelers, so who knows? Maybe they got it in them for one big team upset.
The Buccaneers might believe they're still in the playoff chase and play really
If they won against Carolina, they might have mathematically still been in it, but nope, not anymore. Next game.
They don't. They're too young, so they won't know this. All right, Kansas City at Pittsburgh.
I have the Steelers winning out and knocking off the Chiefs from the playoff mix.
I feel this could be the Steelers winning the Chiefs. The Chiefs just don't throw touchdowns to their wide receivers.
Yeah, the secondary doesn't even have to go out there into the. They don't even have to go block them. They can just run in on the quarterback too.
Next up, New England at the New York Jets.
I'm going with New England, though. I will say, I'm afraid of Rex Ryan, what he's gonna do this week, because who knows? It's pretty much his last game there. This is the last stand. So.
The last stand.
I'm going New England.
Tom Brady will get out his glass, hold it underneath of Rex Ryan's eyes, and drink his tears as the Patriots blow out the Jets one final time. Patriots.
Nice.
Next up, the New York Giants at the St. Louis Rams.
I've got the Rams just being the wrecking crew to the Giants, eliminating all hope they have. So I'm going Rams.
Easy. Yep, Rams easy. I don't see how Eli's not going to throw 3 picks. Oh man, the Buffalo Bills at the Oakland Raiders.
Upset of the week. Getting their final win of the season. Potentially.
Oh.
I'm going Oakland here, man. Bill, the black hole is growing stronger, and its pull is harder to resist the more teams get near it. It's going to pull one more and eliminate them from playoff contention, and that's unfortunately the Buffalo Bills.
Remember how I said I forgive Jim Schwartz for all his sins? Psych! Oakland Raiders, go and put down the Buffalo Bills and end their playoff hopes, and the black hole will erupt.
Yep, I'm glad you think of my playing field, Bill.
Next up, the Indianapolis Colts at the Dallas Cowboys.
I have this to be the best game of the year. Everybody's talking about New England and Green Bay, but really, I thought this one it'll be a shootout. And the one team that fucks up will lose. And I think Andrew Luck is going to throw a pick that's going to ultimately set the tone for the game and undo them from the start. And not to mention DeMarco Murray. Even if DeMarco Murray doesn't play, Randall will tire out the Colts defense. They're going to literally use the same plan they did against Foster, but it's not going to work this time. I have the Dallas Cowboys winning.
I have the Indianapolis Colts winning. Andrew Luck is just too much, and it's going to be crazy.
I say best game of the year, though, no matter what.
Next up, The Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday night.
I have, believe it or not, Arizona. Nobody's won there this year, and they're going to be one of those teams that never lose in their place. And so it shall be. Arizona will win and claim the first seed.
And I'm going to say the Seattle Seahawks are going to confuse the shit out of Lindley and just blitz from exotic looks and just play exotic coverage, and they will defeat the Arizona Cardinals and take over the #1 spot.
I wouldn't like that. I'd rather Seattle be a road team.
Next up, the Monday night game.
Yep.
The Denver Broncos at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Denver. In fact, to be honest, the Bengals games don't even matter anymore. They just need certain teams to lose, like the Chargers and the Ravens. They lose one more. Those teams lose one more game. The Bengals clinch a spot, which I think one of them is going to lose this week. And the Bengals will get in. You know why? Because of the tie. This game doesn't matter to them. Denver will win.
And I've got Denver winning. I just don't see how it's anyone else but Denver. The Bengals are really...
I think Dalton's going to drop a bomb, an ugly bomb. He's going to play a stinker.
An ugly bomb. He dropped an ugly bomb.
Yeah, he's not going to win.
Right.
So,
and
that we don't have Thursday night games, so...
There is no more Thursday night games. It's only Sunday. Next week, the 17th week, is only Sunday games. And
they're all divisional.
One of the teams are going to be selected for the Sunday night game.
Let's just stop the build up and put Lions at Packers already. That's the best game out there.
I mean, that Atlanta Falcons Carolina Panthers matchup looks really promising.
They're gonna do that because they always like those games where one team gets in, the other one goes home and never gets a playoff spot. So they're gonna do that. But dude, Lions Packers.
Can you imagine that? I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll be Lions Packers.
It has to be. Like, just stop hiding it from us and give it to us already.
It's two really good teams. They don't wait until
the end of the week.
The end of the week and see what transpires.
But it's got to be this one. This is the closest one. But anyway, it's all right. Anyway, so that's going to be it for Football Talks. Bill, do you have anything else to note?
It's going to be a crazy week.
Probably. Anyway, it's time to take our leave. I will see you guys next week, or we will see you guys next week in the final week of football, week 17. I hope you're excited, because I know I am. See you guys next week.